Okay, today we're going to look at a sample chapter 4, kind of from beginning to end. We're going to take it from basically the data stage, and we're going to try to go all the way and kind of complete a mock chapter 4. So what I've done is I've have some behaviors here. I have the top 4 behaviors for the feathertail gliders in minutes per 30-minute observation. So we have sleeping, escaping, attacking, and eating as the top 4 behaviors. And so the 30 here for escaping would be they escaped for all 30 minutes in the 30-minute observation period. So the first thing I would do is I would go ahead and I would run my ANOVA test. So you can see I have all my data in these nice columns. So if your data is not in these nice columns, that would be the first thing you'd have to start with. I'm going to go to my Excel minor analysis toolpack, and I'm going to run my ANOVA. My ANOVA is used because I have more than 2 groups, and I'm trying to compare their means. So I'm going to go ahead and put their values there. There are labels in the first row. I'll run mine at 0.05. If yours is different, obviously you can change it. And then I am going to put my results right here in F3. So I'm going to click that and put that over there. So here are my ANOVA results. And just some important things that I'm going to be putting in my results for my sleeping and eating and attacking and escaping. That'll be one thing I'm going to put as far as the means and the variances, or standard deviations, doesn't really matter. So I'll be putting these into my chapter 4. And then I'm going to have to figure out if I'm rejecting the null, and I am rejecting the null because F is bigger than F critical, or the p-value is smaller than 0.05. So I know right away this is going to reject the null, and we'll allude to that later on when we write up our chapter 4. So what we have now is we have our means, our variances. We know we're going to reject it based on this p-value. So now the follow-up test would be a Tukey or CHIV test. But since these are unequal groups, we would have to do a CHIV test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the CHIV sheet that we had from before. So I have the CHIV sheet over here on this first tab, and you might have it somewhere else. So we had these behaviors. So we had sleeping, and you can change yours to whatever you want because you should all have a copy of this. Escaping, attacking, and eating. And so I'm going to put my mean, which is my average, in there for each of these. And remember, this is going to be in minutes. So 9.5, 4.3, 8.1, and 21.1 are my sample size, or is my means. Now my sample sizes are 6, 7, 7, 9. That's how many were in each column. And then I need to have my within group variance. Now if I go back, my within group variance is this number down here. So this is going to be a pretty important number. So that's 62.59. So in my CHIV sheet, I'm going to put that right here, 62.59. I need my ANOVA critical value. So my ANOVA critical value is over here. That would be this guy right here. So that is 2.99. So 2.99 is our ANOVA critical value. And our number of means we compared in this case were 4. And there is our critical value. So now, if you look at this, there are only 2 that are green, which only means there are 2 that reject. And that is 2 versus 4 and 3 versus 4. And you can see that that's eating and that's over escaping and attacking. So my kind of very general conclusion right now, it looks like there's significantly more eating over attacking or escaping. But we really don't have evidence to say that they are eating significantly more than sleeping, because that one, which was 4 versus 1, failed to reject 7.6 for its CHIV value. So all we can say is they do statistically significantly more eating over attacking or escaping, and that's really the only conclusions we can make, because everything else is red. So now we have all these results. We have the values on this table. We have our CHIV results pretty quickly. Now I just have to figure out how to write it all into a chapter 4. So I'm going to pull up a blank doc here. I'm going to change my page setup because I want to make sure I have the proper margins and everything. So 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, 1.5 on the left, and 1 on the right. I want to make sure I am in Times New Roman. I want to make sure I am in 10 font. So I think I have it all set up now. So we're going to start by doing our level 1 header, which says chapter 4. I do not have a double space, so I should probably do that. Format, line spacing, we'll double space it. And now we're going to go back over here for our level 2, and the title for your chapter 4 should be results. And then we'll start with an introduction. Now, basically in the introduction, you want to explain what is going to be in this chapter. So you kind of just explain all that. As part of that, you want to have your null and alternative hypotheses. So in our case, and you could just have this as a subsection of the introduction. The null hypothesis, we were comparing the behaviors of the feathered tail glider, so I would say there is not a significant difference in any of the behaviors exhibited by the feathered tail glider and then whatever its scientific name is, I have no idea. We'll go with glider, feather, or something, I don't know. Feather. At the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. Actually, I think I will change this. I'm going to go ahead and say in the mean number of any of the behaviors. So just make it sound good to you. So I think that sounds pretty good. So then I'll do my alternative. Well, actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and write our mathematical symbol for our null hypothesis. So I'm going to go and do insert equation, h sub 0. And you've probably already defined your mean somehow. So maybe you go, if you've called them 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's fine. So mu sub 1 equals mu sub 2, and you can certainly copy these from your chapter 2 or chapter 3 or chapter 2 or 3, wherever you have these at. So you don't have to keep redoing these. You can just copy it like you copy anything. So I'm going to say they are all equal. And then I'll go and I'll do my alternative. Which is going to say there is a significant difference. I'm just going to copy the whole thing, paste it there, and change it a little bit. There is not a significant difference in the mean number, or we would say there is a significant difference. We change that of at least one of the behaviors. Too many O's. Exhibited by the feather tail glider at the Columbus Zoo Aquarium. And then I'll go ahead and write my alternative hypothesis. Just remember, for a ANOVA, there is no mathematical symbols for your alternative hypothesis. I would just say at least one mean pair is different. So now we have our hypotheses. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the procedure, the way that you should do every kind of statistical test. Every one of our statistical analysis, which is our next example, if I can spell, every single one of these should have the same thing. And I'll kind of put this down here. Every one should go in this order. You should put your descriptive statistics. Then you should put a graph that compares the means. Then you should put your ANOVA results. And then you should put your CHIV/Tuckey results if you rejected the ANOVA. If you didn't, then you don't have to worry about it. So we have a lot of the descriptive statistics. That's our means and our variances. We have the ANOVA results. We don't have a graph, but I'm going to show you how to make a really easy graph on sheets that we can put in here. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to maybe, what I would start out doing is I would just kind of recap what test you ran, just to make it sound a little better. And then eventually our first figure, our first table, because the first one's going to be a table, is going to be our descriptive statistics. So table 1, and it might not be table 1 for you, is going to be our descriptive statistics for each group. And then however you want to do your table, but what I would do is I'm going to insert a table, and I'm going to make sure that I back it up, so I only want to have the double space there. And you can just move these bars to make it whatever size you want. I have 4 behaviors, so I'm going to need one more column, so I'm going to insert one more column to the right. So I'm going to have my behavior, or let's do it this way. I'm going to put my variable, and then for this I'm going to have the sample mean and the sample variance. You can do sample standard deviation as well. And then I'll do sample size. And then I'm going to do it for each one. And I'll just make this, play with the things, make your table look nice. So my behaviors, if I recall, the first one was sleeping. And its sample mean was 9.5, and that was minutes. Its sample variance was 65.5, and its sample size was 6, and the unit in that would be observations. The unit on sample variance would actually be minutes squared. So we could do our superscript. To do that one. But for now, I'm not going to search for it. We'll just go minutes squared. Okay. And then we do our other ones. We'd fill in our escaping. And you just fill in the table just like this. So the big thing is once you get this done, you want to come down below your table, tab in, and then you want to explain. So you're going to say table 1 showed the following. And you explain it. Okay. So that is the first part of our chapter 4. I'm going to stop the video 1 here because I can only record up to 15 minutes, and I'll be back with the second part to finish this up.